Hey, welcome back. And if you're new here, my name's Jim. This channel is all about different adventures that I've been on. Hopefully you'll find it useful. Stick around because this one is all about Rockstar versus Sailor on Virgin Voyages while I walk through Dorset. Okay, so when we're looking at Rockstar, the first thing I would say that I think is really good is you actually get to book your meals 65 days in advance. Sorry, I'm stumbling over my words. So 65 days in advance, the app opens up and you can book your meals, which means you get in there a little bit earlier and you can get those reservations before everybody else, basically. So that's one of the first perks you'll notice about a Rockstar when you're on there. The next thing is Embarkation. So Embarkation, yep, the Rockstars and the mega Rockstars get to go on first. And you get a booking slot, which means that you can go on any time you want, from 1:30, 1:45, depending on the port. And you can turn up at the port a little bit early, and they have this kind of a bit like a lounge in a airport, kind of set aside for the Rockstars and mega Rockstars. Now, if that to you isn't worth it, I would say or you like the idea of it, but you don't want to pay the extra couple of grand to get into get a Rockstar suite, the cheapest one, which is seriously sweet. I would say, which we did last time, was actually get the Splash of Romance. And I'm going to do a video on that, on the kind of benefits and everything about Splash of Romance. But for $250, you get to board next. You're the next people to board. And so for me, if you want to get on fast, if you want to get all the benefits of getting on there early, booking, the bits and pieces that you can only do when you get on the ship Wi-Fi, and those are things like sport, you can get the spa done, then the cheaper way of doing it, or still the very good way of doing it without being a Rockstar, is actually, but I would say the Splash of Romance sells out super quick. So if you do want to get early and you fancy that, and then there's some cool things about getting on early, is you can have lunch on the boat, you can do those kind of things. If you're one of the people who've unfortunately only managed to get on one of the last slots, then when you're getting on at 4 and stuff, you're getting ready for Sailor Way anyway. So a lot of people want to get on there early and go and get a pizza, go to the galley, explore the ship, get your spa stuff booked, but it also gives you the opportunity to book a lot of the bits and pieces like sport and stuff. Anyway, I'm digressing. So really, the difference between normal Sailor Embarkation and Rockstar Embarkation is that Rockstars get it led on first. And for some people, that's a real benefit. When you get on the boat as a Rockstar, you're instantly whisked away to kind of a Rockstar reception. Now, when we first did this, we actually went to our cabin first, dropped stuff off, bags were already there, it was very efficient. And then we went to the Rockstar kind of reception, which was down in SIP. And that was really cool as well. It's where you get to meet your Rockstar agent. They basically can organize everything for you, and it saves you going to Sailor Services. I'll come on to that in a minute, the difference between the Rockstar Agents and Sailor Services. But it's cool, it's free champagne. You sit there, and they also have all the different services of the whole ship in that reception. So there's the spa services there's restaurant services, and so it gives you an opportunity to book those things as well if you want. There's a plane above me doing aerobatics. Very cool. Anyway, I'm getting distracted again. So when you embark as a Rockstar, you get this reception, you get to meet a Rockstar agent. That's cool. Is that worth the extra money? Because it is quite a lot, right? The sale I just looked at just now was £2,000 per cabin to get a balcony. So normal balcony, not an XL, just a normal balcony cabin. And it was $5,800 for the least expensive Rockstar. And that seems like a lot of money, right? It's a big difference. So, I would say for a lot of people, you're still getting all those amazing services that Virgin offers as a whole. Things like the free Wi-Fi, you're getting, your room turned over every day, you're getting the fresh water in your room every day, all the sodas free. So those, I'd say, if you want to have that experience of going in and basically being treated a bit like a Rockstar, meeting your Rockstar agent, that's what happens at Embarkation. It's a little bit smoother, it's a little bit faster. Your bags are taken off to one side, you don't have to queue for anything, you get through everything a bit quicker. So if that's important to you, it's cool. And I would say like for things like honeymoons and celebrations, it is fun, right? We really enjoyed it. So that's Embarkation. Embarkation for us as a sailor, again, we've done it with a splash of romance. We've also done it without a splash of romance. I would definitely recommend, if you can get in there early, when you first book, you're like, look, you know what, $250, splash of romance, it's so worth it, in my opinion. And the other bits that come with it make it worth it as well. Anyway, that's Embarkation. So I'm going to jump onto the next one now. Okay, so I know we're not even into the cruise yet, but I'm going to talk about Disembarkation. I've always found the Disembarkation really, really easy, whether it's as a sailor or as a rock star. But what I would say is that rock stars, you don't have to book, right? And so if eking out every last minute of the cruise is important to you and getting off the very last minute, that's probably a cool thing about the rock stars. You don't have to try and book that thing in short things. If you don't know how to do that, I'm going to try and do a little video short on when you should book. Lots of people end up with the 7 o'clock or 8 a.m. slot on the last day. Quick one, when you're on there, they announce it 48 hours before, sometimes 24 hours, that you need to go and actually book your disembarkation slot. You do it in Shore Things, you select the disembarkation port, it's usually the last day in Shore Things, and in the app, and then you'll see the different time slots. You want to get in there early if you want a later disembarkation, otherwise you're either given one or you're left with the 7 a.m. And you know, do you really want the 7 a.m. one if you've got a hangover? Probably not. So as a rock star, you don't need that. The other thing about a rock star as well is that if it's not at Miami, they usually get off on, so in Miami, they have the kind of, you know, the gangways and stuff that reach up from the terminal and they come up to deck 7, and that makes disembarkation super smooth. If you're not at Miami, they get off on deck 4, and it's a bit of a choke point. It makes disembarkation a bit slow, and the times that we've done it, the one time at Christmas that we did as a rock star, we were actually pretty grateful for that when we're getting off of Puerto Rico, because as a rock star, you just kind of swept through. So that for us was pretty good. We had to get on a flight, but we wanted to stay on to the last minute. So being spoiled in that situation was good. Okay, a big one for everybody now is Rockstar Agents, and really the comparison to Sailor services. And this for me is probably the biggest benefit, if I'm honest. Our Rockstar agent, a guy called Matty, I'm sure you're not watching this, Matty, but if you're Virgin Voyages and you're watching this, Matty is the best. They're basically everything wrapped up in one about Sailor services. So the Rockstar agents typically start working on Sailor services desks, and then they get promoted up to being Rockstar agents, where they're just looking after 1 or 2 cabins. So you can message them through the app directly to your Rockstar agent. They can book your Shore Things, they can change your restaurants, you can message them about your invoice, pretty much anything you have to go and see Sailor service about, they can do it. They can also book you into spa appointments. They come and see you at Rich's Rooftop, make sure everything's going okay. And they do little errands for you as well. So they did lots of little things for us when we didn't drink that whole bar. We gave a lot of it out. I'm just gonna quickly pause, hang on one sec, because the car's going past. Yeah, we gave a lot of our alcohol out, a lot of the bar out around the boat to people we met. And we would just message Matty and say, hey Matty, we just met these people, they're in cabin, whatever, and please can you send them the bottle of vodka or the bottle of rosé from us with a little note. And he'd do that. He was just awesome, and nothing was ever too much trouble for him. So massive, I've forgotten the words again, I'm doing it again. Anyway, big compliments to Matty, he was awesome. And that for me, when we've been traveling as sailors, has been a lot of time queuing, and I'm not a fan of queuing. Even though I'm British, I'm not a fan of queuing. And when you have problems, Sailor services can be quite slow. You can message them, and sometimes they do get back to you, but it's chalk and cheese. And for me, when you're on vacation, if you've got that bit of extra cash, the Rockstar agent pretty much makes it worth it, because you've never got to worry about trying to rebook restaurants. They can do that for you. If you book a Shore thing, they're like, hey, by the way, you remember it conflicts with this, so I'm just going to change it around for you. They do little things like, each night would get back and they know you're out for dinner, they know what shows you're going to because they can see your itinerary, and they'd drop stuff off in the room from the social club. So we'd end up with the nut brittle, right? And oh my god, I got addicted to that because of that. I mean, I know a lot of people like pizza when they get back and they're hungover late at night, but I love the nut brittle. Oh my god. And that's all because of Matty. He would drop it off in the room, we'd get back, and there'd just be this little kind of bag of the ship eats bags, you know, those really cool bags, and there'd just be like gummy bears and popcorn and all that kind of stuff, all the stuff you don't need to eat but you do need to eat when you're a bit drunk and you come back. So they'd put it in there, and that for me. So yeah, I think that the biggest thing about all of it for me is the Rockstar Agents versus Sailor services, and that's because for me that's just, I really love that, and that it was a celebration cruise in terms of, it wasn't one of the celebration cruises, it was like a holiday cruise over the holidays or Christmas if you're in the UK, and that for me made it worth it. I mean, what can I say? It was a treat for us, and that was worth the treat. Next one now is Rich's Rooftop. It's another perk of being a rock star, and I think this is a bit of a double-edged sword, right? Which might be controversial saying this. Rich's Rooftop is awesome, okay? I love the happy hour you get every night with champagne and cocktails and beers. I think that's awesome, right? And they don't hold back, and I like the what's it called, the Sunshine Club. They do they do this kind of limited run of, like, they call it Richard's Treats or something, but like sushi just for Richard's Rooftop, and it's really good. Oh my, I got another car coming, give me a second. Okay, car's passed, there it is. Yeah, so we're in Richard's Rooftop, that's why I left you in Richard's Rooftop. So it is good, right? And as I was saying, double-edged sword, because it's not busy, right? So you kind of end up using they've got these kind of really cool cabanas and like squidgy sofas and places to sit, and it's easy to find a sunbed, right? But the double-edged sword to it is you don't really get to experience a lot of the rest of the boat. And what I would say is that we meet more people when we go as a sailor, because you have to experience more of the boat, or the ship. I get told off for saying boat, the ship, right? So you end up going around the ship more, you end up sitting in more areas, you end up having these kind of spontaneous conversations at different areas around the boat, and that for us is part of the reason we go on Virgin Voyages, to meet people. We've met so many cool people, and I would say that because the space is quite big in Rich's Rooftop, and there isn't so many people in there, you're not kind of sitting next to people, so you don't end up going, oh, what drink are you drinking? Oh, that looks really good, I might get one of those. And then you just strike a conversation, you end up going to a show together, and you meet people you might never meet before, or not normally talk to, and that's what I love about Virgin. So I would say you do meet people in Rich's Rooftop, but you don't get to experience the ship, as much as you do as a sailor, because you're spoiled with Rich's Rooftop, so you kind of stay there. So for me, does it make it worth it? Slightly, but also I love meeting people around the ship as a sailor, and when I go as a rock star, I tend to just stay in Rich's Rooftop. So that's my double-edged sword. Okay, so the next thing on this about things you might miss out on as a sailor is that there's things we've done as sailors that we didn't end up doing as rock stars, and that's because of you end up having the drinks at Rich's Rooftop. Well, I mean, why wouldn't you, right? Because you want the free champagne, or at least I do anyway. And you end up missing things like really silly things, right? Like the Glam station, right? Which is there and then gone on Scarlet Night. And I like the Glam station. I think that's funny, right? I love going along and meeting the Happenings cast, have them paint your face, have a giggle with them, have a drink. And, you end up missing that because you're having a good time on Rich's Rooftop, and then you're like, oh no, the Glam station's gone, or things like that. And there's a lot of bits and pieces which happen when the kind of happy hour on Rich's Rooftop is happening. So I would say that it's good, right? Rich's Rooftop, being a rock star is awesome, but I would say you get to experience things that rock stars don't if you go as a sailor. So that's a good one to take into account. So the next one is hot tubs. Now, this is where Rockstar is awesome, because the 2 hot tubs on Richard's Rooftop are never busy. They're sometimes pretty busy in the happy hour, but I would say on the whole they're not busy. And if you are a hot tub fiend, then that is a good benefit to being a rockstar, because the hot tubs, and especially out in Miami, which is definitely more of a party vibe, and I'm going to cover that in a future videos, right? People are in there with drinks like first thing, and they kind of just end up taking the hot tub for the whole thing. Busy, I mean busy, and people are in there like cooking themselves like a piece of meat from first thing in the morning. You watch people get in there at like 9 a.m. They're still there at like 4 in the afternoon, several drinks in, and that's cool. I just never managed to get a space in there, so I probably did it completely wrong. I probably should have just hustled my way in and got one, but that was one of the things that I thought was cool about Richard's Rooftop, is that the hot tubs were always pretty quiet. Like I said, please look, if you can share this with one person, it helps the video get exponential more view, like more growth. Okay, last couple of things around Rockstar versus Sailor. So one of the other major things is queuing for shows, getting into things. Queuing for shows, as a Rockstar, you get to just jump in straight away. They have a line for all the shows that's just for Rockstar. So on the kind of first come, first serve shows, that's pretty cool. You get to go jump straight in. Having said that, we've never not managed to get into a show that we wanted to see as a Sailor. The other thing is that in the restaurants, they will always try and accommodate you. So your Rockstar agent will always try and find a way for you to get in. So I would say those are pretty cool benefits. The other thing I think is cool is you get to have a squishy octopus. I don't actually think it's that cool, but anyway, as a Rockstar, you get the squishy octopus. There's lots of other bits and pieces about it that I'm sure in the comments, that why don't you tell me in the comments what you think is good and bad about Rockstar versus Sailor. Do you want to travel as a Rockstar? Have you done it? Have you traveled as a Rockstar and you want to, you think, can I ever go back and be a Sailor? Who knows, right? Let me know in the comments. I know it's a bit of a controversial one. Like I said at the beginning, if you can, please just share this with one other person. I'm doing $100 bar tabs to random subscribers. Maybe that's going to be you. And I'm also changing the name of the channel to MCJ Wanderlust to go along with my other channel, which is about entrepreneurship, travel and slog. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. I really, really, really appreciate it.
If you've still got time, you want to stick around, YouTube's recommending this video. So yeah, this one right here. Give it a go, hit subscribe, watch the next video. Thanks so much.